Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray. Thank you for coming Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, your host today. And thank you. And thank you again for joining me on my podcast and to listen to me mumble and grumble every week. And I really appreciate I checked my stats on this podcast and boy, is it growing. How many weekly downloads I'm getting is starting to actually amaze me a little bit. And I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys are actually finding some of the mumbo jumbo I say worth value. So I appreciate that. You know, every once in a while, you know, a blind squirrel catches a nut, right? Or finds a nut. And sometimes I feel like I'm a blind squirrel, which brings me up to our topic today, people. People. And I'm not just talking about in business, just people in general. I wanted to talk about this today because, and I don't generally go hype up another podcast, but I mean, most of you are listening to Mark Stoner's podcast as well. And, you know, he told me as soon as he came down in the NCSG convention about him and that he had just gotten Bob Ferrari up in his room to talk about his life experience here in the last year and a half. And wow, who knew that Mark Stoner is the Barbara Wawa of getting that exclusive. What a great episode. And if you're not listening to that, go listen to Mark's number 155 guest, Bob Ferrari. It will make you, if you don't cry, you are a rock, you're a stone. And then just in the beginning, but then as you listen to Bob, I mean, Mark had a very good canny deal to where he can listen much better than me. And he let Bob just talk. And I got to tell you, it was heart-wrenching, inspirational. Bob probably doesn't feel like that. And I don't know Bob. So I was actually in talks with Bob, just met him. And I don't even recall if we ever talked. It was just on Messenger that he was going to do my podcast. And that was right before his son died. And then right when I was literally, I mean, this is crazy, literally the day before I was going to contact him again, his grandson died after he got back from the mountain vacation thing. So I'm not going to go into that story, but it was just phenomenal podcast about life. So it got me thinking about people, just people in general. And what is it to our business? What is it to our personal lives? But I think when you really sit down and you start to think about people, you can kind of come to understanding how it could help you in your business and your private life. So I just wanted to today kind of talk about some different things that have been going on in my past and maybe even in the present about people. So I'll start off with, I have a dear friend. He's one of my mentors. I haven't talked to him today. I really wanted to. I sent him a big lengthy message. He's a very Christian man. He's a restaurant manager. He was a restaurant manager. My first, when I got to Tulsa, I worked for him for a few years and became a restaurant manager at Mazio's Corporation with this gentleman. Married to a beautiful wife. They've been dating since the beginning of their college days, have two great sons. They're all grown up now and they're having their grandparents now. And excuse me. And he's always been like me. He's beats to his own drum. He's not afraid to say anything. He's very Christian, but he's very direct. And you know, when you're direct, like I am and him, you get mislabeled a lot. People don't understand your heart. You say a lot of stupid shit, and you know, and here's the difference. I say a lot of stupid shit. Tim's not that way. He's an intelligent, direct person. Not that I'm not, but I can say something very direct and sometimes should have said it. But he's direct and intentional on what he's saying versus I never had that skill. I'm learning it as I grow older. But he put out a post, and he does and back in my 20s, I did a prayer meeting every week with him, a men's group type deal. And he actually went to school to be a youth minister. He never pursued that. And I question that a little bit. I wish he had. And I think in his life, he's having some issues right now with questioning just life. I don't think he's questioning God. I don't think he's questioning stuff, but I think he's questioning his value and his worth. And by the way, I'm projecting. I don't know. He put a post out today that said he wasn't going to do the prayer meeting for a little while. He needs to kind of figure himself out. And it was very cryptic and hopefully not I guess suicidal. I'll just say the word. He's not that type of person. It would be a massive shock if that's what he did, because he's not that type of person. However, I did reach out to him, and I did write him and tell him he was one of my mentors and I love him. Please call and talk to somebody, if not me, just whatever. And they're going on vacation and for 2 weeks, and hopefully that'll clear his head. But it's the struggles of being a person, of people, right? So, I mean, this is a guy I look up to that I would have never thought of seeing something like that. So people, what are we talking about here? Why did I bring this up? You don't know where your employees' heads are at all times. You don't know where your wife's head is sometimes. Sometimes something just comes out of nowhere and you don't know what's in their head. And you read all the little memes, whatever art you call them, on Facebook and Twitter, and all these little, things you read and oh, it's no duh. But do you actually live all these good little memes and stuff? Do you actually recognize what that means and live it? Or when you read something inspirational, do you run out and do it? No, probably not. I try to. I'm that type of person. When I see something and I read something, like if you read something about your mom makes you cry, right? I call my mom. I don't wait. I call her. See something about my brother or my dad or my wife, and it inspires me or it touches me. I don't wait. I do it now. It's a reminder. It's a slap in the face for me to, oh shit, I need to do that. I saw something. Matter of fact, I think it was John Caesar or it was Jasper. I'm sorry, Jasper. He had said something about here we go, Mark's podcast. Hey, everybody, if you're not listening to Mark's podcast, just stop my podcast and go over to Mark Storm's podcast and take a listen. No, I'm kidding. But on his podcast, see, I listen to podcasts. Here I'm listening to, no, it wasn't his podcast. It was actually on Surefire Live when Jasper was on there. And he talked about his kids and how he told his kids, asked his kids from something that was at a chimney NCSG forum, not a convention years ago, how some guy got up and said, his kids are his most important thing to his life, right? And so he called his kids up and asked and cried and all that stuff. And I'm about to tear up, but I'm not. I'm going to fight it. And so I asked my kids, and they were baffled by the question. They didn't know where I was going with the question. And I explained to them, you are my life. And now I do it. I have been doing it. That's a moment. We'll let it pass. Because it's emotional to me. It's my children. They are the most important thing to me. I don't do this for anyone but them. And that's the truth. That is the truth. You forget about that stuff. You go out there and you sweep a chimney for someone, right? Yeah, you're doing it for them. You're doing it for you, and you're doing it for your family. I hate being this emotional. I'm just that person. Sorry. I wish I could get my emotions down, but it's people. It's people. Where do I bring this to? I mean, I'm talking about, Jasper did that, got it from this other thing. Mark said the same thing on that Surefire episode that, having your kids recognize you, and you look at John Caesar with his little kid, he posts a lot about it. I post about my kids enough, You just hear all these people with, the reason behind they do stuff, and they're inspirational. And you don't have to have a podcast. You don't have to, coach. You don't have to even own a business just to start recognizing what people are to you and who you are to them. So there's so many different people out there that need to recognize your own value, your own worth, and recognize other people's value and their worth. And so, Tommy Nelms and his kids. I mean, gets me crying almost every time he talks about his kids. It's awesome. And yeah, I'm a fucking crybaby at times, and it is, and just deal with it. It's shit. I'm sorry, but not really. Okay. But it's people. So when you sit here and we talk about recognition of the facts of people is really where I want to go here. And so knowing at where they are in their lives, knowing what you need in your business for people. But when you become a people person, something I've always been good at in the short run, not the long run, short run. I was always good at making a fairly good impression, making people laugh, and then getting out. And now everybody likes me until they get to know me a little bit, and I'm kind of an asshole. I really just kind of, I have my own lane, my own thoughts, my own deals. And I'm really not that great in a big crowd. I'm not. And I recognize that. I've really recognized it over the few years. If I'm up speaking, I can do that all day long and thrive. But if you put me in a group of a bunch of people, I have to figure out my place and where I'm at. Do you do that? How do you, compare yourself with your employees, with your family? Do you ever sit back and really, instead of living the day, think about how I can be a better husband, father, employer, friend? I do. Am I weird? I constantly try to be a better person. Maybe it's because I'm such a shitty person already. But seriously, I consciously try to be a better person. I constantly try to help people, and not like where I'm like annoying helpful, like my mother-in-law, love her to death, but god damn, that woman, she would help you to death. I mean, you tell her I'm full and she shove it down your face. I mean, and I'm not talking like that. So here you go. There's my a-hole-ness right there, I guess. But the recognition of where people are in their lives, good or bad, and knowing to start to handle that. So when you listen to Bob on Mark's podcast, is you heard him say, there's nothing you can say to him that's going to make him comforting that he lost his son and his grandson. There's nothing you can say. So it's uncomfortable for you to try to say anything, right? So, I mean, I don't know if the answer is to not say anything, but I consciously thought of that. I mean, when he said that, I get it. This is not even close to compare. I mean, I've had very close grandparents die. I've had a couple good friends die, but I got to tell you, when my dog died, my bulldog died underneath my chair at a park. I mean, I felt such guilt and so missing him. And this is not, I do not want you to take that I'm comparing this to Bob, because it is not. But I remember people saying stuff to me, that, like, you'll get over it or even whatever. And it's just like, there's just nothing you can say that's going to make my mind feel better that my dog's dead. And I can't even imagine it being my son, daughters, or wife, or grandson. I can't. So there isn't anything to say. Now, recognize that. And Bob coming out and talking about that, what a great thing to know. So instead of saying something stupid to someone next time their mom died or anything, you can think back, okay, there's nothing I'm going to say here that's going to make them feel better, except for I love you. I'm here for you if you need me. That's it. That's all I'd say. That's all I'm going to say forever, is I'm here for you. When you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't ever want to talk, that's fine. You want to go out and have a beer, fine. You want to go to my cabin and shoot guns and break and cut down trees? Let's go. Whatever you want to do. If you don't want me to call you, I won't call you. I mean, whatever. This is for my employees, my friends, my family, whatever. This is how I took out of that. So now when you're recognizing people, we'll move on, and you start noticing people, the way they act. So you have people that just don't know how to act. I'm going to address that. A lot of people in our business are hiring younger people, and they're not even, as Cody would, you've ever heard him talk or seen his writing that it's in the Blue Collar magazine as he's coming up. He's writing good articles for them. And he says, they're actually not millennials we're hiring now. Millennials are in their almost 40s. They're late 30s and 40s. When you're talking about, the 20s now, they're called something else. Gen something, Z, X. I don't even know what I am, whatever. I don't even care. But point is you're dealing with these kind of people. That is a big lump label for a whole wide lot of people. But you have to recognize what they have gone through, what they do, and what kind of response can you give to them to understand them and help them. Because when you get to a certain point and you're talking about hiring somebody, or you've already hired them, or you've become a new friend, what can you do to help them? How can I help you? The best thing I can do is just help you. And they have to accept it and receive it, and you then can work together. And then you have the people that won't do it, and so you have to recognize who you can and can't help. For instance, I've got a guy that works for me that's in my masonry sales class, and he wasn't doing his homework. I got onto the management team to get him on there to do his homework, and he messaged me last week on Thursday, which I was swamped busy, had stuff going on that night, and I said, listen, call me on Friday. I'm going to be getting tattoo work done on my arm, and I'll be sitting in a tattoo armchair for 4 hours Friday, and call me. And if not, call me Friday night. He never called. And then so I don't give up on him. Not in a long shot. I mean, he can still call me at any time. But I think as you start dealing with people, you're just going to have to recognize so many different kinds of people out there. And if you come at them that you work for them and they don't work for you, or if you're a friend, what can I do to help you? I got my buddy Keith. He's a very high ranking ICE official. Sorry if you're a liberal and you don't like that. Tough shit. He's one of my best friends. His cabin's just north of mine. He lives a block away from me. Great guy. This dude is a rocket ship of energy until he's not. Meaning he doesn't stop going until there is no more go. And I'm constantly telling him, and I'm not like that. I'm ready to sit down and have a beer and drink and smoke a cigar and chit chat and whatever at the cabin. I've got my agendas, but and I've got my stuff I got to do, but this guy's got a list long forever, and will die having a list that he'll never complete. Although he will complete it, he'll just keep adding to his list. And knowing that, he's always asking me, what can I help you with? And he helps me. And I ask him for if he needs any help, and he always says no. I'd rather do it myself. But I still ask. Do you need my help? And there are times he'll say yes or something, but more of his help comes from, I forgot this. Can you go do this? Or, hey, do you have this for me I can use? And I say yes. But I also recognize, stay out of his way. If he needs help, he'll ask. And that's who we are. So you have those type of people. I'm going through this people podcast just off the top of my head because there's so many people out there and types of people. And how do we really look at this as a person listening to a podcast? I think the recognition of as you grow as a leader, as you grow as a person, that what you can do to help people is where you're going to find your satisfaction. And with my buddy I talked about a little bit ago, who does serve and help people all the time, he doesn't see his value of how he does and what he does. And I think sometimes you have to sit back and you have to look at things like as you grow older. I got to say this. You get in your head more. You remember when you used to watch cartoons Saturday morning? You didn't give a shit about the world. It was Spider-Man's on. And you are all into it, right? You are laying on your stomach with your hands up, your feet back up, and you are glued to the TV. And you watch that 30 minutes of Spider-Man, and you couldn't wait till the next thing on. And you were into only that. Your life was that at that moment. When you grow older, you lose that ability. For the whole world's crushing on you. And you really think about it, who gives a fuck? I mean, if you're a good person, if you can't pay the bills, you will. Who gives a fuck? You'll pay them. You know, if you got to fire someone, who gives a fuck? The guy's got to go. It is what it is. He did it to himself. You know, if you're struggling and you're spinning and you can't get out of a rut, who gives a fuck? Figure it out. Call someone. You know, really. I mean, really, really, really. When you really break down life, who are the happiest people? The people who don't give a fuck. Right? I mean, think about it. And really, when you say that, it's the opposite. The people who don't give a fuck, they just want to help. Generally, the happiest people are the people that help, but they also have to recognize their self-worth. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. I've had tremendous anxiety over the last 6 weeks. And if you've been coached by me, you've coached me. I mean, I'm so sorry, Mike Fazy. That guy listens to my shit so much. And he's not a paying customer anymore. We're just great buddies and still do our coaching session that we talk to each other. But by God, in the last 6 weeks, it's just been my shit after my shit after my shit. And I got to tell you, thank you, Mike. I am in such a better headspace in the last week. And he doesn't say shit. He just listens. I just talk to myself right into whatever, right? But, you know, as I sit here and I look at people and I look at other people and I see who they are and what they've accomplished, and then they're having struggles in their lives. And when you look at it, it's all stupid. It's all dumb. It's like, really, why you need to think about when you were 5 and you watched Spider-Man. You didn't give a shit. There was nothing pressing. Okay, you have stuff pressing now. You have responsibilities, right? But you got to this point and you always solve it. Otherwise, you'd be dead, or you'd be living in a smaller stuff. And you put this unnecessary stress because as you've gotten more responsibility over life, you sit there and let that responsibility weigh down on you. You'll think about it. You got there because you worked your ass off. Are you working your ass off any less now? No, but now you have more responsibility, so you think about it more. Go back to watch Spider-Man, man. Who gives a fuck? You'll do it. You're already doing it. Why stress about it? I mean, I am such a hypocrite for saying all this shit because I stress the shit out of stuff. But I'm coming to a realization as I watch other people who I thought had perfect lives, who have been my mentors, like literally have problems, have issues, and it's all head case stuff. And I don't mean they're mentally fucked up or and stuff. But they literally are going through things in their lives that's so unnecessary because they're in their own heads. So when we talk about people, there's so many different types of people out there that are probably in their own heads. So we have to help leadership these people to be valued to your business, your friendships, your marriages, everything else. And when you show no value to them and they show no value to you is when you separate and sever the friendship, the employment, the whatever. You know, I think keeping toxicity, friendships and people toxic in your business is literally the most harming thing you can do to your business. It's almost better to literally go to your bank account and give all your money away and start over, literally, because you'll do it. You'll be just fine. than if you keep one or two toxic persons in your business and in your life, just your life. I haven't talked about it, and I'm not going to talk about it now, but we've disowned my mother-in-law, or not my mother-in-law, my stepmom. We don't talk about her. She's not part of my family. We will not talk about her. And there's some issues with my father. I talk to my father, but my rest of my family does not. But my daughters, my wife, they don't talk to him. And so I'm not trying to talk about anything now. I'm just saying toxic things. And it drew to a point in our family where it was too toxic. We don't talk to him. I talk to my father, but I do not talk to my stepmom, and I will not. I always pray for them, though. I pray for the fact that someday it'll come back. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm okay with that. I live with that. It's another thing about people. There's two ways to think about it. If you burn a bridge, you burn a bridge. And sometimes, as we know, you cannot rebuild that bridge. And there's a mistake at times to try to rebuild it. And sometimes that may come through, more than likely not. I've never rehired. Let me take that back. I will never again rehire someone that I terminated. I won't do that. I won't look for the better in someone after I've let them go and commit to the fact that they say they've changed. No, I'm not going down that road. Now, they may have changed. And if they want to be a friend to me or a mentor or call me, if they start their own business or coach and I don't want me to coach, that's fine. I'll do that. I'm not going to put them in my business again. No. I'm not going down that road. Now, when I go look for people in my business, we physically, literally talk about our culture and what we're not going to do. We go negative in an interview. Like, if you're this, please get up and leave, because we're not going to have it at our business. And we're not a perfect business. We're not. We have cultural struggles at times, but for the most part, I'd say 98% of the time, there's no culture struggle in my house. Some people have bad days and we have to correct that, but that's not very often. We have bad days generally we just screwed something up. But personally, emotionally, outward to another person in the company, that is generally not a problem in my company. If you have an issue, we can handle it and talk about it, and we can go from there, but we're not going to create it onto everybody else or bring it onto the company. And so, guys, a whole lot of nothing today. And I hope it is something that when we deal with people and you're listening to me ramble about people, and I had some educated thoughts on this subject that I wanted to go over. And the main thing I think is key points is you have value. Recognize your own value, recognize other people's values, and hold them to their values. And I think when you can come in at that like that, you can be a better person. But I think you should question yourself. Are you doing what you should be doing to be a better person? Excuse me, and to be a better leader. If you just go on as the same leader and the same person all the time, you're not growing as a business or a person. And if you want to be a bigger, better, or even just a better company, you had better work on you first. Because it's one thing to be telling everybody else to work on themselves, and you're not working on yourself. It's not a good move. And I have seen companies try to tell the rest of the company that they needed to work on themselves, and then they're not doing it. And it's like the company never moves forward. You have to drive change. You have to drive culture. That's why we call it intentional culture. And people are the biggest part of it. You build a system, and then you got to find the people to work the system, and you got to find the right people. Then you got to make sure that their head's always in the game, and build you up, build them up, everything. But you work for them; they don't work for you. So, guys, thank you for that. Listening to this time, I appreciate you. And that is Outside the Business Box. I hope I didn't get too much in trouble, and sorry for the F-bombs, but who gives a fuck? Be you, be a better person, and go out and make everyone that you're working for you or around you, make them better because you're better.